Hi, I'm Attell. My background actually wasn't in tech originally. I studied Latin and Ancient Greek in college and then got interested in technical writing. My first experience with technical writing was writing documentation about how to use the Linux command line. And I learned and shared all that from work, and I hope that it inspires other people to feel more confident on the command line.
Okay, so I had been studying Ruby and I recently just discovered Python. So one thing that I've been working on right now is the concept of none, which exists in Python. In other languages, it's null. And basically, it is a constant in Python that indicates the absence of value. So you can use this as a way to iterate through any collection of information and to compare values and find a value where you can place it into that none category.
Hi, I'm Bridget, and I did the straight career of studying maths and computer science and doing a master's in computer science. I got into it because I discovered programming as a teenager, and I thought it's just like magic. Like, you write these things that nobody can understand, like magic spells, and they make things happen in the computer, and they give you power over the computer. So I can totally recommend it for anyone.
So one of my favorite parts of computer security and actually computing in general is cryptography, and we'll talk about hashing, which is a one-way form of cryptography. It's supposed to be irreversible, so if you have a password that you actually create and it's in plain text, it should be hashed, possibly salted, and the salt is a little bit of randomness that goes on in the hash to make it completely irreversible or supposedly completely irreversible, so nobody could then actually look into a database and say, oh, that's that person's password.
Hi, I'm Carolyn. So my background in tech, I studied cognitive science and linguistics in undergrad, and then I kind of moved to digital marketing, but I was always interested in development, and right now I'm in a part-time bootcamp at Full Stack and learning both front and back end and trying to transition fully into web development. And I would say, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So if you're a beginner like me and you go to, you attend coding meetups and you sit down at the table and everyone pulls out that silver machine with the apple on it and you do not have one, do not fret. You can totally code on a PC. There's something called Nitrous, where you can plug in your code, have it run on the server, and it's just like you had that machine right by you. So don't get discouraged. You can still do it, and you can save your money for a little bit.
I'm Nikki. I work in computer security. So my story, I got an Apple IIc when I was about 4 years old, and I brought it upstairs to my bedroom and spent like the next 4 months of my life on that machine. So I learned about computers, and then from there I just learned how to be a dev, and then I learned more about how operating systems work, how hardware works, how electronics works, further and down the stack, and I just sort of fell in love with security. It sort of combines all the technology fields that I love, and we need more women in security.
What I wanted to share with everyone today was that this page that shows that you're not connected to the internet is actually a game, and you can start the game just by pressing space. When you press space to jump, and you want to avoid the cactuses.
Hi, I'm Janine Harper. I grew up in a traditional West Indian household, so I never believed that computer programming, math, or science was for me. I excelled in languages and didn't touch computer programming until last year. I have a daughter, and I'd like her to excel in STEM, and I think that the best way that I can help that to happen is to be a role model for her. So I work with organizations like Railsbridge and Django Girls to encourage other women that they can do it too.
So if you're working on a command line in Linux or a Mac OS, sometimes you will be stuck in a strange place where there's like these squiggly things on your screen, and every key you press only beeps and doesn't do anything useful, and you're trying to get out, and that place is VI or Vim, a very strange editor. And the important thing to remember is that you type :Q, exclamation mark, and enter, and that will get you out of it.
So one thing I wanted to talk about is when developing for web, there's a lot of flexible things you can do, but actually I don't think a lot of people know that when you're coding for email, it's still a very antiquated process because email systems, they try to prevent spam, so everything is still in the very like 2000s tables layout of using like tables, TD and TRs, and you need to make sure you put in a lot of inline styling instead of in style sheets. And
so I have a background working with at-risk youth in the criminal justice system. I am currently a project manager for a nonprofit organization which takes New York City youth and prepares them for jobs in the STEM fields. I'm a total beginner to coding, but I fell in love with it through the program that I run for those young people. So from the program that I run with the young people, we started coding with Code Academy, and I was coding right along with the students, and I loved it so much. I would go home and be up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning just coding on my laptop, and my husband would come in and he would be like, "What are you doing?" Coding, duh. And it was the most amazing experience to be doing something that I knew I felt like it would change my life, and I feel that way.